It's the Craggy Rugby podcast. It's round one of the Champions Cup. It's wet and windy. It was beautiful about 5 seconds ago as Bordeaux ran off and everybody clapped them off and they looked a bit, it's not so bad. And now it's absolutely howling. Danny, what do you reckon for tonight? Because Bordeaux have come pretty well fully loaded.
Yeah, and they've warmed up with a lot of vigour. They were really going through the paces. So just before we get blasted out of it by the crowd.
Okay, just pause there while they were cheering, but just Gavin Thornbury was running off there. Obviously, he was warming up with the lads. Great to see him back.
It's great to see him back. It's great to see Bolton there. Young Devine is there as well. So hopefully we might see a bit of these guys coming into it again.
But anyway, back to this game. Connacht are 3-point favourites, which I was quite surprised by because, this is a pretty decent Bordeaux side, but we shouldn't be surprised. Why, Connacht, as Mac Hansen said, people should be expecting us to do well.
Yeah, of course, we're at home. We've got a decent enough record this season at home. And this is a typical classic Connacht night. It's nearly perfect that it's for Europe. It's going to be on the TV and people are going to see this swirling, horrible, wet place. And, this is our home. This is what everyone thinks the Sportsground is like.
Yeah.
And we play some good rugby when it's like this.
Okay, half-time score, Connacht 5, Bordeaux 12. We're being given a bit of a lesson by a top 4 French side who are here with full intent, and Connacht are struggling.
Yes and no. You're saying they're struggling, but they're only 7 points ahead. They're also giving away a lot of penalties. That has to change. It's something that's got to cost them at some point. We're making a lot of errors. We let them off the hook with a kick dead. Pillar defence is a bit weak as well. But I think in the second half that they're fixable things. We know what they're going to be like now in the second half. If they keep doing it, yes, I'll agree that we're being given a bit of a lesson. But this is what happens in Europe. You're playing teams that you don't normally play week in, week out.
Yeah. And
they're playing like a completely different side to what Connacht are normally used to.
I know, but we don't look like breaking through their defensive line. They're going through ours a lot. I'm sure the stats will show it afterwards that the line breaks they made is incredible. Plus, we made a mistake. They scored from their own goal line practically from overthrown 22. In their own 22, we had a bad kick out, and they score from that as well.
Yeah, but then I'll counter with they get a scrum on our 5 metre and they get pushed right back out to the 22.
Yeah, and that's right at half time where I don't know. Yeah, maybe we're coming back into it, but I have my doubts.
Yeah, fair enough. And it happened. That was early on in the game. As the game has gone on, Connacht have slowly been fixing their problems. That was at 30 minutes, not at half time. You're still in the heart of the half.
Well, I suppose, the fact that they didn't give away a try when they were on their own 5 metre line with time almost up at half time was a hell of a thing to do, and then almost came away with it. Of course, the other big news that I have is Mac Hansen's gone off injured, and it looks like his either ankle or calf, one or the other. Hopefully it's not too bad, but it looked terrible because he pulled up out of nowhere.
Yeah, he was definitely getting after the try. He was getting a bit of deep heat or something put onto his calf. I do think it was his calf, just the way he did pull up. So hopefully it's not too bad because he's a massive loss.
Yeah, his Portuguese done well to come on, but we're definitely missing that bit of fear in the opposition defence. Okay, full time, Connacht 5, Bordeaux 41. We believe that is the most points a French team has ever scored in the Sportsground, Danny, and they deserved it. They were brilliant.
Yeah, they really did. They were scoring for fun at the end. Not the end, in just throughout the game when they turned it on, scored a couple of tries, and then they kind of coasted after that. Very frustrating to watch.
Yeah, we're not at this level. That's we're just not at this level. It's as simple as that. We didn't have the power in the pack. We didn't have the ability to move the ball at the same way that they were able to move it.
No, I think we had the ability to move the ball. There was some,
but not with any. There was no cutting edge at any point.
But that's what I was getting to. It was a case that we were moving the ball, but when it got to the wings.
No, I'm not talking about the wings. I'm talking about we never look like breaking the gantry. You can talk about the wings, and okay, we don't
maybe not clean breaks, but we were getting over the gain line. And then when it got to the wing, when you need someone to really
I know, but it can't just be the wings. No, you have to be able to make breaks in the middle of the field as well, and that never looked like happening.
No, that was never going to happen because their defence was rock solid, and we had a huge issue with our pillars. That whole pillar 8B defence kind of.
Yeah, I'm not talking about defence now. I'm talking about our attack. Never looked like we were ever opening them up. Apart from maybe at the very start of the game, we threw the ball wide a couple of times, but other than that,
my point was they were doing it, but their defence was better. Their AB, they looked like a really solid. Everyone's on the same page.
There must be 200 fans over there in the main stand, and they've all gone over. They're all bouncing around. They're winning. Like what respect they're showing Connacht to be this excited about beating Connacht like this, and to be so excited about it. And it's that's very interesting from an Irish point of view to watch a French top French side being this excited about beating Connacht, but we're so far off the pace. It's just not funny. But anyway, it is what it is. We'll take a break and hear the post-match press conference.
Dave, you're about to get going and leave the Sportsground. It's a tough evening for you. It's been a tough couple of days as well. Like if you add in the Leinster defeat, two very different games, but it's one of those difficult points in the season, I'd say, for the whole group.
Yeah, that was really disappointing. I thought we were off the pace a bit tonight, and they were by far the better team. We spoke about being one step ahead of them all week, and we didn't deliver on that, so it's disappointing.
It's always two teams in these stories. You work all week on your half of it, but they obviously came with some sort of energy. Did you expect it? Was it more than you expected?
No, we knew they were a quality team, and we knew they were going to play, especially playing against the wind in the first half. But we just looked flat out there. It wasn't good enough.
Where can you regroup? Like, what's going to be the focus next week? Is it all going to be on the mental side, or is there a lot of technical stuff that you feel just wasn't functioning today?
There was a few technical things. Look, the line-out can be better. That's on me. Maybe we can play a bit smarter at times in the first half. And then, mentally we'll just regather ourselves. It's a massive game for us next week over in Saracens, and we can't go and feel sorry for ourselves.
Pete was saying there that before the game he felt just having this game coming up 6 days was no harm after Leinster, but now after the game you can look in hindsight and wonder if you needed another day. How much of a blow was that Leinster defeat the way it happened, and do you think it had any effect on the prep this week?
Look, it was a massive blow. It was a gut-wrenching defeat, and but no, I don't think the 6 day turnaround had any impact. I felt like we were in a really good space before the game. We had a really good training week. We got through everything we needed to get through, and I just think we as players we didn't really deliver today, so nothing to do with the short turnaround. Just
final one for me, what's just for people at home, what's next for you? Like, when are you back in, and when do you get that first chance to get out in the training field again?
We're back in on Monday morning, and we'll be straight back into it.
Right, Pete, does the size of that scoreline defeat make it a little bit worse than just a defeat?
I don't think the size of the scoreline. I mean, you never want the game to get away from you, which it absolutely did. So, of course you don't want it to get to that stage, but I think it was more the type of performance that disappointed me more so than the scoreline, and particularly in the first half. There were errors in the second half, but I just felt like we were a step behind Bordeaux for the first half, and you could see that in how we attacked. You could see how we defended, how we reacted to turnover ball. You could see it in our kick chase. I just think we were one step behind them, and what that did was give them the opportunity to build belief. And I think a French team coming to Galway in midwinter, I think they can come here. Even the good teams are wondering which way it's going to go, but when you give them that sort of foothold in the game, they start to get that confidence, and they're too good a team not to play on the back of that platform.
They led 12-5 at half-time. You had a good turnover towards the end of the half that maybe changed a little bit of momentum. What did you say at half-time? What didn't happen after half-time that you wanted to happen?
Well, we acknowledge there was some frustration. I think we started the game really brightly, and those couple of sets of attack, which we didn't get the points from. But I think the quality of that attack, gave us real confidence. But then there was a frustration in not turning that into points of some sort. So I think from there we acknowledged that we'd had a good moment in the game, that we showed we could do some damage against them. We acknowledged that 12-5 were still very much in it. But we also acknowledge that we've given them too much of a foothold in terms of, as I said, just being very reactive to the play. I think you could see it when Bordeaux got their offloading game going. We'd see an offload and then we'd scamper after to try and shut it down. Whereas, really, if you're one step ahead, you're up in that space and you're catching that offload receiving player, man and ball, and it was just very reactive. Same thing, we'd win a turnover and we'd look to counter-attack off that. We were incredibly dangerous against Leinster last week off that sort of ball. But we weren't set, we weren't in position and ready to go, and I don't think that's a lack of effort. I just think it's a lack of that sharpness and ability just to be in the moment and try and be one step ahead of the opposition, and we failed to do that, and on the back of that they were able to accumulate more and more points second half.
What made you change the front row so we're at half-time earlier than usual?
Yeah, it was earlier than usual, and it's certainly not hanging the blame on Finlay or Dennis, but in keeping with that theme of needing a spark and needing to be one step ahead of the opposition, there were two of the positions, and they certainly weren't alone, but two of the positions where I thought we could get some fresh legs and try and kick-start some momentum up front, and they did some good things in the game around the scrum and in other areas. But we thought we could kickstart the energy and kickstart that sort of mental sharpness, in the front row, and see if that flowed through to the rest of the team. But as I said, there were some moments, we had our patches in the second half, but not enough consistent quality to really get ourselves back in the game.
You tried Carl Ford at 13. How do you think that went?
I thought pretty good overall. Look, I'll pour over the tape in more detail. I think I just think the way we were playing probably didn't give him as much ball as we would have liked to give him real opportunity there. But I certainly don't think he looked out of place attacking or defensively. We're in a fortunate position in terms of the centres we've got. Obviously, Fordy's had a great start to the season at 12. Bundy coming back in. For him to get 80 minutes was massive and maybe not expected. And then we've got Davy Hawkshaw, Tom Farrell, Tom Daly, a whole bunch of guys sort of floating around that. Byron Ralston, who's obviously got some time at 13 as well. So we've got lots of options there, and I think that was the right one for this week. But we'll look at it in more detail.
And can you give us any update on Mac?
It was a foot injury, and that's the extent of all I know at this point. So they'll be assessing him as we speak, and probably the first thing is to see, is it a recurrence of what he had at the back end of that World Cup campaign, or is it something fresh? So I'll get the verdict on that, and we'll find out probably in the next 48 hours whether that needs scanning or whether it's something that will sort of freshen up and come good. So we'll let you know as soon as we find out.
How will you turn this around now with Saracens? It's going to be tougher.
Well, it's going to be tough in a different way. I think the quality that Bordeaux brought, we knew this was going to be a really big challenge. I think to go away to Saracens, I mean, the European pedigree they have, the internationals across the board. I don't want to sound too excited too soon, because we've got to process this defeat and we've got to get a lot better on the back of it. But in terms of incentive of what lies ahead, and in terms of having a full week to prepare and put the bits in place around selection, around game planning, around training, we couldn't wish for a better scenario. So, look, we're not at that stage yet, but we've got to work through this review, and we'll have to be pretty blunt with the players and with each other on Monday around what we could and should have done better. But what a carrot at the end of the week to go away to Saracens and see what we can do to them.
Pete, how much of it is mental and physical when you look at the difference between the two sides then, or the reason why you lost by so much this season?
I think I think certainly in terms of the outcomes and the behaviours you see on the field, they're certainly physical. I think it's probably a bit of an unknown, but the shaping of the mindset coming in, like for us to have a home game against a travelling French team. It's not easy travel coming from Bordeaux to Galway. We've done it the other way around in previous seasons. Decent winter's nights, certainly the build up to the game. All of these things sort of shape mindset, and you hope would shape them in our favour with that home advantage. And as I said, but when you give the team that access to the game and allow them to play on the front foot, and not really capitalise on our opportunities to play on the front foot, I think it does breed belief in the opposition, and it can also breed a little bit of doubt in ourselves as well, in terms of thinking, do we need to force a pass, or do we need to run a bit more, or you start to question what you're doing. So I think that mental side is huge. And it's a little bit chicken and egg. They probably bounce off each other in terms of the outcome. But as I said, on both fronts, we weren't good enough tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that easy. I think. The boys obviously on turnovers are dangerous, or attack off turnovers certainly is dangerous, and there's a lot of pace as people that are comfortable on the ball, and I think sometimes maybe it looks a little bit easier than it is. I do think that first 10 minutes was really, really important for us, not to concede, to show a lot of resilience, a lot of character in that period, and then it's difficult, when a team is attacking, and then all of a sudden to flick that switch and turn into defence. So I thought we did that well. I thought we scored quickly, and it's difficult for them to regain their defensive shape. There's a lot of credit due to the players to see the space and play the space quickly. Obviously we've got some good finishers in there as well. Damien turned provider today for Roman, which was good to see. So yeah, overall, I think we scored at good times straight after half time. First entrance into their 22, really good try for Pablo Uberti, and then from there, I think it's difficult for Connacht. They got to chase the game. When you're chasing the game, particularly in conditions a little bit difficult against a team that if you turn over the ball, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. It kind of adds up to what it added up to.
We heard the voices of Dave Heffernan, Pete Wilkins, and very happy Noel McNamara from the Bordeaux team. Rob, that is the worst display I've seen Connacht give in years.
Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, I was trying to, because we were going through stats to see about score lines, but you only have to go back 2 years for Leinster to be beating us by a point more here at the ground, so it does happen against.
Never against the French side.
Yeah, but you know what I've been saying for the last few years, there's 8 or 10 sides in European rugby that are just such a cut above us that...
Yeah, but we were meant to be getting past that now. That's what Mac Hansen's been saying. That's what Prendergast has been saying, that we can't be expecting. They came out, their warm-up was one of the best warm-ups I've ever seen a French team do.
Did you see even the half-time when the subs come back on and the subs are holding tackle bags for the guys coming back on to hit? Absolutely going to do zero, I'd say, physiologically or sports science-wise for a player, but psychologically, it just shows how committed and how much of a good group they are. I was pretty impressed with them. You saw more of the warm-up, but yeah.
Oh, listen, the crowd were cheering them at the end.
But here's my point. I was trying to say this last week. They say they want to be at that level of those 10 teams and competing with them. And, we watched them against the Stormers last year in the semi-final of the competition they were in, one of the best teams, one of those 10 teams. And they were close. They weren't far off. They played really, really well. So what I saw last week really annoyed me, because at the end of the day, Leinster made 14 changes. A few people were on to me on Twitter just going, what are you on about? This was a second-string Leinster team last week that were bossing us, that were showing, with players moved around. And I think that was an alarm bells were ringing for me there. And then when you meet the full force of a brunt French international / top-class French side, and then it's just the way it fell apart. So yeah, lots of really worrying signs. The discipline was a problem the last few weeks. I think consistency, accuracy. In you go, Dave. I
agree with you on one thing, and that is the Leinster second team. I think the Leinster second team is much.
No. I don't even want to go down. I don't even want to go down that route.
Can we discuss this afterwards?
Yeah, we can discuss that afterwards. What I want to hear is what you were saying, because you had the ref mic. You must have had the ref mic as well. What were you telling me there just beforehand?
It was mute. There was nothing. The best, all you could hear was the French fans singing. Dixon wasn't saying very much. There was very little intervention. There was a couple of interventions from the touch judges. The one thing I learned today is Carl Dixon really doesn't like tied heads at all. It was quiet. It was mute. There was very little voices. You didn't hear Connacht voices. You heard a few Connacht voices. Where was the leadership? Where was the anger? There was. I know the same voices again. I heard them last week. I heard them the week before. I heard them against Ulster. There are the same voices. You hear them all the time. We know who they are, but they're not the guys that have the word C beside them. And I think that was problematic tonight.
It doesn't matter when you malfunction kick into touch from a penalty, when you malfunction lineouts in key positions, when the systems start to break down, the morale breaks down. Dan.
It's the systems. It was before that had happened, they'd gone through us numerous times at the ruck. Then when they get a little break in the ruck, they go out wide. We had no answer. It was too easy for them.
We did. They knocked an awful lot of ball and we were hitting them hard, and then we did something utterly. The kicking was hugely important. The first try comes from a really bad kick. The second try comes from a kick where we have a scrum advantage.
The first try comes from a badly thrown line out.
In the 22 when Connacht were attacking after 7 good solid minutes of rugby.
And my issue is, and it's the same as last week. Last week we had a chance to kick 3 points. We didn't take it. We didn't do it again this week. Our first 3 wins of the season came with us kicking points at the start of the game. What's happened?
Yeah.
The only difference that if we kick those 3 points at the start, we lose 8-41. We don't.
No,
it doesn't change.
No, it does. Yes, it's the tone. It's the tone.
No. So you're talking about a tone. This completely. Our whole systems fell apart.
Yeah,
they tore through us. Whether we kicked those points or not, they tore through us like we weren't even there.
But Danny, our attitude is wrong. Our attitude. Just hang on. Let me talk for a sec, right? Our attitude is wrong when we're not going for the 3 points. We're not playing cup rugby, smart rugby, winning rugby. That's what I feel. And remember what the 3 points we were talking about last week was before half time. You have a choice. It's the last play. It's a different thing in momentum. I loved the way Luku at 19 points up. I love the attitude of this Bordeaux team. They went, right, instead of faffing about, we have the 5 points on the board, let's go 4 scores clear. That is professional. You heard it from McNamara afterwards. This is a well-coached group. Okay, so just let Danny back in there because he was making a point and I cut across him. Like this, I know what you're saying about systems, but I think our system needs to be built on, can we build the points? Can we respect the fact that these guys are more expensive squad than us? They're a much better quality squad from us. I'll take 3 points every time they're there and we'll see what comes from that. Of course it wouldn't have mattered based on the way we played, but might have mattered.
But like the thing about, taking those 3 points, first of all, you actually have to kick them because how many times do we go to the corner and then mess up the line out? But, you don't guarantee it. Also, then you get the ball back in your own half. We're having a terrible time clearing from our own half off kickoffs. So again, that's bringing more pressure on us. So when we do get a chance, we need to go for the higher points to try and get the try.
I'm asking you guys, I'll start with Danny, what do you think's gone wrong in the last couple of weeks? As best as you can tell, what do you think's going wrong? Just let Danny in for a sec, because I'm just asking him, and then pop in Dave.
This one is just, we were completely and utterly outclassed. That's the only way I can see that. It's just seriously outclassed. And I'm going to pick on the scrum half out half. They looked miles ahead of our guys.
Well, they are internationals, but at the same time,
they will be
you're
the
not
starting.
saying that. You're just saying they look miles ahead.
They will be the starting French team for the Six Nations.
Class.
They will.
We're at home. It's a horrible, wet, windy December night. Blady's grown up here and, he wasn't able to kind of put any pressure on Luku. He looked so comfortable on the ball. Yeah. Every time he got it, he'd look like he had hours on the ball.
Yeah.
Actually, he took one ball from the back of a line where he was able to turn and pass off his other hand. He had so much time. I was looking at it going, what?
Did you see Jalibert's Garryon was that in the first half? That was one of the best Garryons I've seen since Eric Elwood was kicking them here. It was. So I actually had to look underneath. The huge stand in the ground thing? I had to look underneath it to see how high that went. I've never seen it kicked out. And it led to a knock-on off Porch. It was that level of execution, focus. But Danny's just said it. We were outclassed in every department.
And we've made more mistakes in that game than we've probably made all season.
Yeah, I think there are issues. I think we have to. We're going to blame the players because they're the most obvious, but I think it's more than that. I think there were selection issues. I think there is we have forgotten we have a very raw coaching ticket, and I don't think they know what it's like to when it goes hilariously wrong as a collective. They've all been in coaching positions where things have gone hilariously wrong, but they've had other people around them. I can't remember who Fardy coached with, but Mull had Pat Lam. Pete Wilkins had Andy Friend to bail them out, to be the senior guy. Now it's their role to be the senior guys, and you're thinking, oh, this is your first crisis, and it's come very early in your tenure. Now we get to see how good these guys are as a coaching ticket. I don't know. I don't want to go around. Is there issues with certain players? That there are a lot of players who played a lot of match time in the last 2 years who seem to be very much on the outside looking in at the moment. I think we have a fantastic 15 who didn't play, and not all of that was down to injury.
I was about to say that. I was just about to say Oisín Dowling, Jared Butler, Paul Boyle off the bench last week was outstanding. Conor Oliver, I'd start, to be honest, at the moment, just a little bit more together than Hurley Langton. Not sure Jansen's done enough so far for my liking. Sean O'Brien has been brilliant. I bring him in. Tom Farrell. Bundy Aki and Tom Farrell are there are two. Like Colin Ford is a man of the future. We put him at 13. It didn't work today. I think it was a mess. But like that was just my
never played there before.
Of course, and it's a crazy thing to do against Saracens. Do it against flipping Zebre if you have to. No disrespect to Zebre because I've just disrespected them. So why do people say no?
Well, you do because they are at the bottom of the league. So you play them in games that aren't as strong. But so I'll come back into one that I'm going to throw out there. The last time we played that badly on the field was against Benetton in the round of 16 last year, and a certain Mr. Bundyaki was playing that game. But there's something missing. Is it whether the other players are expecting him to do things and so they stand off?
That's a fair point.
We don't have the fluidity when he's there that we have when Ford is playing.
But we beat Ulster with him in the quarter-final, so we won some big games as well. But we don't have the consistent fluidity, I think.
Yes.
We sometimes have a spark. But look, when Hansen went off, it sucked the life out of the game. So do we have a duty on this podcast right now to kind of nearly just go, wait, just breathe for a second, and next week's going to be horrible. It's going to be absolutely horrible.
Not necessarily. I'm going to state this now. This is a thing. Everybody expects it. I mean, we all kind of know.
Everybody's expecting it to be horrible.
If it goes the way that the form line is going, first of all, Saracens aren't particularly good at the moment, so we have to throw that caveat in. But you're expecting Saracens at home on their pitch with the way we're playing right now and the way they play when they are good. They should put 50 points on us. But this is Connacht. We could easily go there and absolutely. We've done it. Now, it's in England, so that's another. You can add probably another 20 points onto that as well.
Dave, you started this sentence with, "Hang on, I just want to make a case for Connacht."
Again, your logical tells you in England against Saracens, this could be even worse than tonight. But when have we ever been logical? Logical shouldn't have been a 41-5. Logical, you don't throw away, you don't do what you did last week as well. We are not a logical team. The problem is that we need to be much more logical. Leinster are incredibly logical. Bordeaux were outstandingly logical.
They're very good.
They were outstanding.
They're very good. They could win the competition, obviously.
Here's the thing. They're 8th in the league at the moment. How good are the other 7 teams?
But it's, I don't think you can. It's a World Cup year. It's all sorts of rubbish going on.
This competition as well doesn't have any of the back and forth like it used to, right? So this is you have one-off games like this, and it's a one-off game in a competition where we could still qualify. Hard to believe.
That's a flaw. I mean, if you think about it, we've got the Blue Bulls, and we don't have to play them. Thank God.
Just on that, like I really hope that they go back to some kind of the way it used to be. Maybe people say I'm being a bit too sentimental. I don't know, but for me it doesn't work. Like the idea that we play Bordeaux once and that's it. Just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't. And to be in the same pool as Bulls and we won't play them, it's nonsense. I was hoping that what you were saying is I hope the Connacht management team go back to what it used to be. Because let's finish on this, lads, because we'll do our previews. But and go to you, Danny, and then Dave. But is there back to basics that we can find here? Because I feel this is
that's exactly the point I was going to make. We need to stop
and
how do we come back to basics and go, okay, they've been trying a certain number of things, and as the season has gone on, they started pretty well, but as it's gone on, they've gone away from it, and now they're missing basic tackles. They're missing simple tackles. You're sort of going, okay, let's reset. They're professionals. Let's stop, reset, and go, okay, let's get the basics right. That's what Warren Gatland does. Look what Warren Gatland can do with a very limited Welsh team and still manage to get them to where they get to. Go back and say, okay, let's come back and do some basics, clean out some things, because at the moment the trend has been downwards since
Sharks.
Probably before the Sharks, Edinburgh.
We didn't play well against the Sharks. The Sharks played worser than us. Yeah, you can put that in.
Edinburgh wasn't great either, and so since the last that game, and we've sort of started to hit some skids. So whether the stuff that they've done earlier in the season has started to wear off, I don't know, but it needs some sort of reset.
I love that though from you though. I think reset, because Danny, you've played club rugby. You haven't played club rugby. Alan has. I'm following there. You did too. I'm following Ballinrobe in the league, doing some commentaries for the club. It's great crack. But one thing I notice is at that level, and you'll appreciate this, that's how you get a group of rugby players to kind of, you say, right, what's our 2 lineouts that we know we go to? What's our 2 scrums that we know? Connacht actually have to do that. Maybe it's 7 for Connacht, but they kind of need to strip it back. Would you agree?
Yes, and especially if we're having trouble in the line out, I don't understand why not drop down to 4-man.
There you go.
Beat them on the ground. Maybe I'm being too simplistic, but I feel like we've got guys there that are so quick at getting up that you should be winning your own ball at 4 with a 4-man and beating the other team with pure speed.
Yeah.
If they want to set up at 2, you go at 4. You know, they set up with you at 4, run them forward. They can't match you unless they're unbelievably. They've done so much homework that they know exactly what you're doing. But we need to be backing Hef, Dylan Tooney Martin, McElroy.
There are guys.
Yes, but we
metaphorically.
Yeah,
but we need to be giving them some kind of confidence with the line out, because it's a huge worry. Like, and for me as a forward, you go, right, we need to get the set piece for the backs. The backs then get confidence because they've got go forward ball. It all kind of helps it together.
Like the worst point of that entire game was the tap and go. That was the worst point in the entire game. Why are we doing it? We've just got a penalty and scrum, then we do it, and we don't know what we're doing, and we just ran into
I from what I could see, there was a miscommunication about when the ball was coming back.
Okay, well, let me say
it's
this.
one of those things. Well, that's
There's one last. If I was to pick one kind of coach from our past that I'd like in the dressing room this week, just for 1 week only, it'd be Eric Elwood, because I think if there's one thing that Elwood brought, because I was thinking about this today, like I was saying to Joe, look, Champions Cup rugby, every time we have it, we appreciate it. We know what it was like. We waited years for it, and it was Elwood who led us in that first year, and he made us competitive when no one gave us a chance. And we lost 5 games. I mean, mother of God. But
do you know who scored the first try against us ever in the Champions Cup?
No.
Carl Dixon.
No way. What a stat. What a stat. Anyways, I'd like to, I'm not speaking literally. I'm just kind of saying that kind of mentality is what we need.
You picked the one coach from the past who's actually here.
Yeah, but he's not part of the current senior coaching team. Mark Sexton was mentioning him there.
I've been up here early for some of the thing, and he is involved now. He's involved a step below, but he's still there.
What I'm talking about here, like, is him walking into the and like he could easily do it. And I think they need, but it's not just Eric, but they need that kind of whatever spirit that was. It's in them. It's not like they've never had it since then. They just need to dig back to that.
I think I agree with everything you said. Get reset, pick players in their best positions, pick the player that's most informed in that position. Don't mix and match. Put a bench out that you think can actually make an impact, and is not just there to replace numbers. Stop doing replacements by numbers. Until New Year's Day, play the guys who are playing best. Don't worry about rotation. Rotate after New Year's Day. Don't worry about New Year's Day. Get these new. If Saracens is gone, then you might, I hate to say it, but the way the competition is now, beat Bristol, you've got a chance. We have a huge problem at 9 simply because we don't have the depth. Colin Riley been out for 3 months. I mean, Mikey McDonald, what was he supposed to do? It's his first ever time playing his first game.
Yeah, player 9-5-6.
Well, the one problem with picking the best players, that's what they seem to be saying to us. So we don't see what's going on the training pitch. They keep saying that we're picking the best players, but you're going into it, you're looking at that centre partnership. Ford's been playing so well, how do you drop him? Then you got Bundy coming back in, World Player of the Year nominee. So, he
was good today. I agree with Alan, though. There could be more than just last year. At times, Bundy didn't play well, so that was part of why he didn't fit in. But I do think, there could be a structure.
The chemistry, there's a chemistry issue, I think. There's some sort of chemistry issue that's just there.
I mean, chemistry isn't helped by some guy kicking the ball dead like JJ Hanran did. Chemistry isn't helped by a knock-on.
Or young Andrew Smith kicking the ball straight back down, guy in the terrible clearance. Another one where...
That's the one I'm talking about. That's where there was a scrum advantage and he kicks the ball away. And you're there thinking, but that's the guy coming from sevens. They don't scrum in sevens.
Look, if you're at home and you're feeling down, everyone has a bad day at work. They just had a bad day.
And I think that's summed up with Hef's interview.
Yes.
He completely destroyed,
And fair play to him for coming up. Yeah, because that's 2 weeks in a row. Because last week he had to go and doing it with the clan down in the clan bar and the clan stand bar, and you're thinking that shows.
And I do think
a lot of credit to them.
By the way, we have to ask for players, and they have to come out. They don't have to, but I think it's our duty to go through those interviews. Because I sit through those interviews sometimes, and you're just thinking to yourself, "Oh, Jesus, should we even bother to dragging them up?" But I think that was the most important player interview that's been done this season. Yes. I think personally.
I think they do have to. Whether you win, lose or draw, you win, lose or that. They need to come out and show.
Yeah.
Now, maybe it's not the greatest interview in the world, but for me, it just shows,
It shows how much he's hurting.
Yeah, and it makes me feel like, okay, they do care.
Yeah.
Of course they care.
No, but I mean, you get a loss like that. A lot of places go,
there's been Connacht players in the past and teams, and we've been following this information that did not care at times.
There was one guy came out in a defeat in Thomond.
We stopped the podcast to discuss this. To find out more, listen to...
Yeah, on Patreon. Yeah, basically, pay a $5 and I'll tell you 5 or 6 of them. Never mind.
Yeah, we'll have more for you during the week, folks, as we played this up because, it's gone a bit longer than I thought.
Patreon.com/Craggy Rugby. Do you know how cheap it is? It's dearer to go up and down in Dublin in tolls. And here's what I was thinking about this last night. If you went into Dublin, took the Enfield route, right, put our podcast on for the extra 10 minutes it takes you, save the money, give it to us, enjoy the podcast.
Find out. Mad stats. All right. Thanks, folks.
If you don't, there are other routes to Dublin that do not involve Enfield.
Loose, cut it loose. Break out or nothing changes. Sad and confused. Don't wait until